Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Penn Sports Podcast. This is Frank Edgar.
This is Wiker Bray.
We've got a special show for you today. The athletic director over at Tabb High School, Susan Wiker, who is on the verge of retirement. We were able to grab her from all the parties and ceremonies that they're giving her to talk a little bit about her tenure here on the peninsula, and we want to welcome in Susan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we've read the article in the Daily Press. Marty O'Brien doing a nice job again, giving us a little background on you. But tell our listeners a little bit of how you got to the peninsula and got to the position of Tabb AD.
Okay. My husband was Air Force, so that's how we moved down to this area. I was in Northern Virginia. I worked at Stafford Middle School for a couple years before I came down here. So we moved down here. My husband was stationed at Langley, and I got the job at York High School. I actually was hired for a one-period position when I started. I've taught health and PE and driver education. I've taught some when we lived in Korea. I taught kindergarten, first and second grade for a couple of years over there. And then I worked at an elementary school, and this is all for Department of Defense schools. And then we came to Virginia. First, that was in '88, and lived up in Stafford, worked at Stafford Middle School. I coached some softball and girls basketball at the middle school while we lived up there. And then I always feel like I graduated finally to the high school level when I came to York High School.
Well, what took you to coaching? Were you an athlete in high school and college?
I'm before Title IX. I always tell everybody. I did play basketball in high school. I think you could be a cheerleader or you could be a basketball player. There weren't many offerings for girls back in those days. And I always say I was my father's son. So I grew up hunting, fishing, playing in the neighborhood with the boys, playing basketball, football, baseball. But in high school didn't have many opportunities. So I've always been interested in sports and fitness. I had a great high school basketball coach. And I think, she certainly inspired me when I had the chance to become a coach. Because I learned a lot from her and really look forward to that. So when I came to York, when I first started there, I was coaching. I was an assistant softball coach, enjoyed that, and then got into field hockey. And as in the article that Marty O'Brien had, I really knew nothing about field hockey. In our high school PE, my PE teacher in high school, she actually was a goalkeeper, field hockey goalkeeper in college. So we played it in PE, and this was back, boys and girls were separated in PE when I was in high school. But so I knew what the game was a little bit. And York had a long time coach there who had retired. Someone took the varsity position, and I said, well, I'm interested in this. I'd like to learn how to do this. So went to field hockey camp, signed up like a kid, and went through all the drills and learned that, and spent a few summers playing summer league, got involved with adult co-ed field hockey. So I played for a few years in that realm, but I can remember the first game that I coached. I had everything all written down on index cards and how I was going to do this, and all those things sort of go out the window once the game starts. But it's really became a game that I really loved. I became a student of it. I was a big fan of Beth Anders at Old Dominion. Would go to all their games and watch that. Try to learn some stuff from her. She had I used to call it the Hockey Bible, that she wrote a book about field hockey, and I would read that every season before we started to just get some ideas and drills and just a way to organize the whole season. And then at York, I also coached girls soccer. It was a club sport for 1 year, and then I sort of took over that. But same thing, just became a student of the game and studied hard and learned the drills and had a lot of fun with it.
Well, now when you got to York, and let's take you up to the 10,000 foot level. You mentioned, I think we talked, and you were pre-Title IX. How did you find the state of young women's athletics there at York?
Well, I mean, and I tell the girls now, they're so lucky all the opportunities they have. But, I think it was good programs there. I was fortunate to work under Sam Jackson, who later I got to be assistant athletic director with him, and certainly learned a lot from him there. But, girls soccer was a great example. When I came there, they did not have a varsity soccer, and um, there was a person who did it as a club sport for 1 year, and then Mr. Jackson agreed to let me take over and run the program. And I really learned a lot from the boys' coaches who were there. Tommy Hipple and I can't even think, the guy that's at Lafayette, that's the boys' coach at Lafayette, Brian Sorrell. Learned a lot from him. I think all the coaches, I think at all schools, really share ideas, and everyone's always willing to help another coach out, and it was a good atmosphere at York.
Well, Coach, you talked about a lot of people that's helped you along the way, but so many people have commented and had great things to say about you the past few weeks. We've had Coach Clark and Coach Meredith on our show, and they spoke very highly of your impact on them. Just talk about some of the relationships that you're gonna miss about being an athletic director on the Peninsula.
Oh, I look at all the players that I've coached, and I keep in contact with a lot of them on Facebook, and some are physicians assistants, some became coaches, officials, so I'm very proud of that, and great young women that they've all become, and wonderful mothers, and I think another thing I'm very proud of is they all seem to have really stuck with fitness, and I think I tried to instill that in athletes. I even at Tabb, when I get a chance to speak to the seniors, I always try to tell them, give back to the sport that has given you so much. Coach some young kids, become officials. I mean, I'm almost in every sport that we have. All the officials are getting older. There's a crisis of needing good officials. We just, young people just don't seem to go in it that much. It's a lot of older people, and I'm, really concerned. Are we going to even have enough officials to officiate games? So I try to get, kids to give back. They've gotten so much joy from this sport, so give back so others can enjoy the sports you have. As far as coaches, like I said, I look Bob Shamblin, who used to be a basketball coach at York. I taught PE with him for 17 years and learned so much from that man about coaching, and it always would amaze me his excitement. I'm not even sure how many years he coached there. It was probably like 30, 40 years, his total coaching basketball career. But every year he would be so excited, and how hard he worked and studied, and the way he just didn't do the same thing. He looked at the kids that he had and what would be the best way to make the team from what he had, what kind of offense and defense he would run from what he had. So a lot of good coaches mentored me. I know I've, had the opportunity to mentor some of them at York, and certainly lots at Tabb. So it's fun. It's fun for me. I've always tried to make coaching fun. Everything I do, I try to make it enjoyable. I think I think that's the key, especially for girls. I've always told coaches, it's skill is a little part of it, but for girls, I think the majority of it is, do they like each other, and are they having fun? If they're having fun and you create a good family atmosphere among the team, you'll go a long way. Unlike boys, I think, you got to convince them what our goal is, and no matter if they like each other or not, men work toward a goal, but not women.
Yeah, that's
It's completely different.
That's very true. I guess the $1 million question, Susan, as you sail off into retirement, your replacement, I know you're going to be a part of that process, but I mean, what is it going to take to keep the legacy going at Tabb and to be a great AD over there?
Well, they have hired someone, and I think it's public knowledge. So Wendy Wilson is going to take over, and she's coach of a 7-time state champion, so I think she certainly knows about how to coach. We have been spending a lot of time together, going over some of the things that she's going to need to know. But she's very excited, and I think she'll do a wonderful job.
Well, Susan, I'm fascinated by your kind of holistic approach to girls sports in particular. Do you feel like that is? I mean, obviously you've had a lot of success in your history. Is that something that other coaches should consider, especially on the girls' side in high school? Because Wube and I do a lot of games where you have teams that are undermanned, pardon the term, but they don't have the numbers that they probably need. Basketball teams with 8 or 9, softball with 11. Is there? Have you found that holistic approach, the bringing fun to the field, is the way to get the girls to come out and participate?
Oh, I think so. They have to enjoy. Girls, women have to enjoy themselves. It needs to be a social thing. They have to have fun, and then, you can incorporate a little teaching in there. I mean, I think I used to look forward to practice as much as the girls did. After a hard day, at school, we always used to, we'd warm up a little bit, and then we'd kind of sit in a circle and stretch, and everybody kind of would talk about their day, just like you would with a family sitting around the table at dinner. And I think, we all looked forward to that. And, when the season was over, you would miss those people because you didn't get to spend every day with them like you did at practice. And I think that I always believe, people ask me, why was Wendy Wilson so successful in field hockey? And I think she understands that and made that in her field hockey program. So I think her and I are very much alike on that, and understand that, especially for women's sports, that it needs to be a family. They need to know that it's a safe place that they can share things with, that'll stay in the family, and we have fun, and we work hard together toward our goal. I know she had an injury a couple years ago, a running injury, and I filled in for her one day at practice. And those girls, I mean, they didn't need me. They, they knew what to do. I've never seen, her group, they would run from drill to drill, and how they complimented each other and praised each other. And that's, just the atmosphere that she brings to her practices. They're incredible to watch. They're fun. And you think, are they just doing this because you're there? But no, it's, they're like that all the time. They genuinely, those girls, they love each other. And that's why they're so successful.
Well, watching the college level young women play, especially the softball tournament, which will be coming up here soon, and then the volleyball, you see that kind of, now that you say it, I see it with their cheering, their coordinated outfits, their coordinated cheers, their gestures that they do between innings or when somebody's on base, and then you see it in the volleyball. After every point, they get together in a little huddle, and so I see that as being now I'll be able to look at that and see it a little differently. Let me ask you one final question. What are you going to do when you finally hand in your key to Tabb High School?
We actually are doing a lot of sailing. My husband and I are both enjoy sailing. He does a lot of sailboat racing and stuff, but we bought a catamaran this winter, so we plan on spending the summer exploring the bay, and hopefully next winter we'll sail to the Bahamas maybe for the winter. So even though I grew up in Pennsylvania, my husband tells me I could never go back there, but I'm always looking for something warmer and warmer. I keep moving further south and further south. So I'm hoping to spend the winter in someplace nice and warm.
Well, that sounds like a great plan. And now, any chance that he's racing down the bay next week?
Down the bay, yes, he is.
Yeah, tell him I look forward to seeing him on the water. Hopefully, I'll look behind me and see him.
Yeah, he's on a Solstice.
All right, we're on. I don't even know the name of the boat I'm on, but some of my old friends from Hampton. We're gonna take an Irwin 34 down the bay. Apparently, in the spinnaker class, which worries me because there's only 4 of us right now, and we're all over 50. But we're looking forward to it.
That sounds like the boat my husband's on too. Yeah, they're all over 52, but I love to go out with them. They're like a well-oiled machine. They've all been together 10, 15 years. They've done Annapolis to Bermuda, Annapolis to Newport, so they're pretty serious about it, but they have a good time.
So those will be some of my answers when they ask me what I'm going to do when I retire: is get on that boat and go to Bermuda or go to Newport on it, because I. But they'll ask me now. Ask me Friday night about 11 p.m. when I'm sitting off Potomac River in a calm, having to anchor so I don't get sucked up to D.C.
Right.
I'll tell you I'll never get on another boat. But no, well, very good. Best of luck to him, and best of luck to you as you move forward in your life. And thank you so much for all you have done for sports here on the Peninsula and for the young people here on the Peninsula.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Susan Wiker, the soon-to-be retired athletic director at Tabb High School. Thanks so much, Susan. Well, that was great, Wu Bei, to catch up with her, and I'm glad we did before the next few weeks here on the Peninsula get to be crazy with graduation stuff. But I know she's ready to go and well-earned retirement.
Definitely well-earned, Frank. I mean, look at the program. It speaks for itself. She talked about the championships in field hockey. The basketball program is up and coming. They went to the state playoffs this year. The list goes on and on. The girls' soccer team, I mean, they're doing great things over there. And she just put it in probably the best way you can put it about girls' athletics. If they're not having fun, they're not engaged, they don't get along, you'll lose them. So that's the main thing, and that was her secret to success, so to speak. She said, get the girls involved, let them have fun, and they'll be engaged and they'll move on and have great success as the programs over at Tabb have done.
Well, she's talking to 2 fathers that have girls that are under 18 that play sports.
That's right.
It's great to hear her perspective on that. Well, and we do wish her well. There's a couple of items of news we wanted to mention in this show. Just the fact that Jake Cave, the Kecoughtan High, and before that Hampton Christian baseball star, who played a few weeks with the Pilots before he was drafted out of high school with the Yankee organization. He switched to the Twins organization, traded over in the spring. He was at Rochester in their AAA. We've mentioned him before on this show. He made his major league debut this weekend for the Minnesota Twins, and in his first at-bat, homered to right. The left-handed hitting Jake Cave, who I've never seen do anything but try to stretch singles into doubles. He is an impressive young man. He has worked hard, and it paid off with a shot to right field last night. And his father, I know his father was there. I couldn't see from the video if his mother was there, but they were there to support him. Some fans from the Pilots went up to support him. Congratulations, Jake Cave. We're very proud of you.
How does that feel as a dad, though, Frank? I mean, you go to see your son for the first time ever in the majors, and he hits a home run. I mean, come on.
He was in the video. The video, Brian Cave, who's the head baseball coach.
I think he hesitated. You see him kind of like, did that really happen?
But he sure showed some emotion yesterday. So we're very proud of Jake Cave and all the hard work he put in to do. And we also want to mention a couple of moves in the high school football arena, Wu Bei. Michael Murphy, the assistant over at Gloucester, who helped turn that program around the last couple of years, he's the new head coach at Jamestown High School.
He's going to have a similar I wouldn't rebuild process at Jamestown. They've lost a lot of players, and the coaches have been, coming in and out of there. So, but again, I mean, like you said, what they did at Gloucester, I mean, they had an amazing season, making it to the playoffs. I guess the first time in 30 years, if I read that right. So, he's going to have a tough deal at Jamestown, but he's up for the challenge. He said he'll be there for a while, and he's there for the rebuild.
And then there's an opening over at Smithfield as Reginald Chavis Jr. has resigned after 3 seasons over for the Packers. We probably will announce next week where he's going to land. He said he's got a new job awaiting him, so we'll see where he ends up. But 3 good years at Smithfield, and I hope wish him the best.
Always talent at Smithfield. Whoever they get in will have a great opportunity to keep that program where it is. I mean, they have a lot of talent, and they have some good players over there.
Well, we want to thank Randy Begoli for doing our production today, and of course, thank the Goldstein Edgar Regan firm that provides us with this wonderful studio to do our podcast. We look forward to seeing you soon, and we'll be back. We got John Jakowski over at Peninsula Catholic, athletic director over there. We're going to talk to him next time on the Penn Sports Podcast.
Another athletic director doing great things on the Peninsula.
Very good. Follow us on Twitter at Penn Sports Pod. Catch us on YouTube. Search Penn Sports, all one word, podcast, and you'll come up with our episodes, and hope you'll join us on those four as well. Take care. We'll see you next time.
See ya.